welcoming and inclusive, liberal, for want of another word.
I know part of the party platform does not in any way include interventionism. Interestingly, Hillary Clinton's record as Secretary of State came into sharp focus this week with the Benghazi Committee's release of its final report on the events surrounding the 2012 attack there. Do you believe that Secretary Clinton helped make this country and really this world less safe?
You said less safe? I thought she was, by and large, a good Secretary of State. You know, Benghazi is just a nightmare from start to finish. Gary Johnson and I start out with a presumption of non-intervention where boots on the ground and American blood on foreign soil are concerned. We think that the first reaction should not be let's intervene there, and that should require a lot of sober thought as to the amount of the American interests involved before we think about boots on the ground. We do think that we need an invincible defense, and in order to have an invincible defense, you have to project marked superiority in military force, both air and naval, both in the air and at sea. I travel the world a lot, and I know that in the Middle East, the Arabs are all worrying about that Fifth Fleet steaming out of Bahrain Harbor and going back to the Gulf of Mexico. In the Pacific, it's the Pacific Fleet. If they move 10 inches, everybody in China and Japan and the Philippines, gets a cold. So the whole world is watching every extension of American power, and we can't be isolationist. I think Mr. Trump, to tell you the truth, is a neo-isolationist. I think his tirades against free trade and open borders and against all kinds of other people, he's the one who wears the word isolationist, and I'm sorry that my old friend Mrs. Clinton has turned her back on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a treaty negotiated by President Obama that would give us, the United States, a seat at the table with 11 other Pacific Asian countries without China being in the room. That's got to be good for America's competitive position in Asia. So we'd be fools to turn our back on that. But both major parties are saying, no, we're not going to do it. We're too scared.
Well, it has been, you mentioned free trade and trade agreements by the U.S. have obviously been in the crosshairs of Donald Trump. And in fact, it seems he's really moving to the left of Hillary Clinton on the issue. What do you make of Donald Trump's position specifically with regard to trade?
I think almost all of Mr. Trump's international positions are not only wrong, they're illegal. He would, violate the NAFTA treaty. He would violate our obligations under the World Trade Organization. You just can't do that as the President of the United States and say, I'm going to put a 45% tariff on anything from China, a 35% tariff on anything from Mexico, make them pay for the new incarnation of the Berlin Wall. I mean, the Berlin Wall was a horrible idea in the first place. It was a stain on the entire second half of the 20th century, and Mr. Trump wants to recreate it. It's like he, got up in the morning and said, how can I have the most toddy-headed proposals in foreign policy imaginable? He's talking about arming the Japanese and the South Koreans with nuclear weapons. Okay, nuclear proliferation is the #1 threat facing the world today. It's the threat of extinction. To say we should have nuclear proliferation instead of the opposite, I can't even begin to tell you how off base this guy is on foreign policy.
It certainly suggests why both perhaps major party candidates are thought to be so untrustworthy as